Righto, Toyota champs, hope you're doing well. Now, Apple do not seem to care about this MacBook Pro 13. Yes, this thing right here. And if Apple don't care about it, should you care about it and should you buy it? Because a lot of people are giving you the wrong information. The MacBook Pro 13, it shouldn't exist. Why does it exist? Don't buy it. But my man, Sonny Dixon from sonnydixon.com, you should check that out if you like tech and cars and stuff. But he's actually going to get an M2 MacBook Pro 13. I'll tell you why in a sec. And you can see here, I have the M2 MacBook Pro 13. No, that's the M1 version, but you couldn't tell the difference, right? Anyway, do Apple actually care about this thing? Now, a couple of days ago at WWDC, they made a big song and dance about this new MacBook Air, and it's an all new design, it's special, and it's the best selling laptop in the world according to Apple. And if I have a look here at newsroom.com, there's nothing about the MacBook Pro 13. Nothing at all. They've got a whole section for Apple unveils the new MacBook Air with new M2 chip. So I can go there. I can download all the images. And yes, there's a little bit about the MacBook Pro 13, but really this is about the MacBook Air. The fact that they didn't actually redesign the MacBook Pro 13 makes you think they don't care about it as well. Also, the fact that you go to Apple's YouTube website and you can see a video dedicated for the MacBook Air. But where's the MacBook Pro's video? So you might think, well, it's not a new design. Why would they make a video for it? Well, that hasn't stopped them in the past. But anyway, let's have a look at the differences between the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air. And we'll see, should you buy this thing? Now, first and foremost, why does it exist, this MacBook Pro? And it basically exists to have a price point in between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro 14. That's why it exists. A lot of people are saying, why do they make this thing? It's irrelevant. Just buy the MacBook Air. But you'll be surprised about the differences between this and the MacBook Air. So let's just get into that. So we've got the old MacBook Air on the left, which starts at $999. So you can buy a MacBook Air for $999. It is the M1 version. In the middle, we have the M2 MacBook Air. And on the right, we have the MacBook Pro M2, so the 13-inch. You can see there's a big jump to the M2. It's like $200 more. Wow. I guess even Apple can't escape inflation there, but there's only $100 difference between this and the MacBook Pro. Now, most people will just buy the MacBook Air. It is the most popular Mac, and actually, I'd rather just get the $999 if you're just going to be using it as an Ultrabook. Otherwise, the M2 is not really going to give you that much more unless you're going to do more stuff, right? You need more RAM. You're going to do some video editing and stuff like that. Then the M2 makes sense. Otherwise, why would you just pay more? But Apple know that people will pay a little bit extra just to have the Pro. They won't even know what's the difference between the two. That's not you watching this video, of course, but a lot of Apple people won't know the difference. So let's get into the key differences. $100 difference. What do you get for that extra $100? And it's quite a bit, actually. So the M2 MacBook Air in the middle, it actually has a bigger display. So it's 13.6 inch versus 13.3. Now, it is branded Liquid Retina, which means it has rounded corners. But basically, these are the same displays. They're both 100% P3, 500 nits. The MacBook Air just has a bit more resolution. We're talking like 4 pixels or something, and it is slightly bigger. So yeah, when you're getting into 13-inch screens, bigger is sort of better if you can get a bit bigger, but I doubt you'd notice the difference there. Same processors, so nothing different there. Same amount of RAM, same amount of storage. But what do you get for that extra $100? Well, you get extra battery life because it is bigger and heavier. The MacBook Pro I'm talking about now. You also get some added features like a touch bar. You may like it, you may hate it, but it is an extra feature. The MacBook Pro will also be faster just because it's actively cooled, so it has a fan. So that means it's going to go harder for longer, like if you're encoding and stuff like that. And just to point out, the displays are the same there. Look, basically the same, just a little bit difference in res and size, right? And rounded corners for Liquid Retina. Now, there are the weight differences. There is a little bit of weight difference. Yeah, you will notice that. I actually noticed it in the last model. So yeah, if you absolutely have to have the lightest, that is the way to go. Now, one thing about the Pro that I haven't heard anyone mention is here. It says 3 mic array with beamforming. You also get a new webcam in the MacBook Air as well. But with the MacBook Pro, you get the studio quality mics. Now, I've used the studio mics for doing voiceovers and stuff like that in a pinch when I need it. One thing that is mind-blowing is that they are still Wi-Fi 6 and not Wi-Fi 6E, and only Bluetooth 5, not 5.1 or 5.2. So I don't know what's going on there. Of course, the touch bar you get on the MacBook Pro. But there is another thing. You get the quick charger, the big charger, the 67-watt charger as standard with the MacBook Pro. So you have to buy that if you want it with the MacBook Air. So it's only $100 more. It's not the new fancy design. Yes, it's a little bit heavier. But if I was to tell you that here's a laptop here, very similar to the MacBook Air laptop. It costs $100 more, but it has better battery life, better performance because of active cooling, better mics for recording stuff. It has more features like a touch bar. It also has a quick charger in it, so better battery life and quicker charging. I gotta say, that's pretty much worth $100 if you ask me. I don't know. I want to know what model you would get. Would you pay the extra for the MacBook Pro? I reckon I would. I think it's the battery life that gets me over the line. I don't like that it's heavier and it's an older design, but yeah, considering it's going to perform a bit better too, better battery life, that sort of thing's appealing to me. I actually want to know what you think. And we know that Apple really don't care about this thing, but do you care about it? Do you reckon you should get it? And are those extra features worth $100? I reckon they are. Like, that's a lot of features there just for $100. So anyway, make sure you sub up because I will be getting these laptops in and I will be testing them. Catch you in the next one, guys. Tally ho.